Yesterday, March 8th, according to the Omega Mart calendar, is the birthday of Omega Mart founder Walter Dram. Now, I thought that I might go see if there was anything special going on or any lore drops that might happen on an important birthday that's marked on the calendar, as I had missed the Omega Mart anniversary, which I am sure had some special something going on. There was not much new happening in the story. If I had a dime for every time I finished the story, I would probably have about 70 cents and just as many blue cards. That's 7, I think, if I've done the math correctly. One thing worth doing when in Omega Mart is picking up phones and dialing numbers. You may dial numbers for pre-recorded voices and learn lore that way, and you may of course also dial numbers that go directly to phones throughout the exhibit, which ring and you can answer, or even sometimes members of the staff will answer. I gave the Protos section a call and I asked what they were doing on Walter Dram's birthday and was given specifically the information that Kaz and Cecilia in the lore are fighting over control of the board. However, this isn't anything new. This is something that has been known pretty much since the beginning. I was hoping that maybe on a day like this I would be able to get more deeper lore, but I just don't think that lore is there yet. Either it's not there yet, either it hasn't been unlocked, or just like in the House of the Eternal Return, the lore is there to give you an idea, and the story is actually constructed in your head so that everybody's personal idea is indeed correct. There were, however, some new things. There was a new room called Daydream that is interesting, but has a language that I haven't been able to decipher yet. You should see some pictures coming up in this video. In addition, when you open the icebox, which I believe had been previously locked, there is now a little creature that is spinning inside. There were some changes to the source story as well, whether intentional or a malfunction, I don't know. However, when I put in the code to reveal Walter as a giant glimmering ball reminiscent of the ball of energy in Twin Peaks Season 3 The Return, usually he has a speech about how he has moved beyond our current world, our current state, and not to worry about him. But on that day, on yesterday, while it was his birthday, I did not hear anything. It was not just myself, but it was other people experiencing it for the first time that did not hear that speech that has previously been recorded. Again, I don't know whether something was malfunctioning, whether I misheard, or whether I put in the wrong code. I did notice that if you tried to dial or change the code while the animation was going, it said that stability could cause unexpected results. So you can play with that once and then it locks you out. So maybe there's a way that you could do something there. But realistically, thinking about the way that Area 15 is laid out, I don't think there actually is or is ever going to be anything behind that door. Well, I hope I'm wrong. I do think it would be much more interesting if there was something behind that door. I really think that idea has come and passed. As for that art exhibit, it's $149 before taxes, and I do think it is worth seeing. It helps you understand who the artists are, what their intentions are, and it gives you more context. It also connects some of the ideas so you understand the technology that's going on. For example, in a room that is mostly just unexplained flashing colors, you might not understand that actually when you sit down at a machine in a room next door, your picture is then uploaded into data, and that data influences the colors that are cycling through that room. That particular room, I learned, is one of 3 where Beach House has composed the soundtrack, not just the song in the music video that is in the mirror. So the question is not whether you should go. If you like the art in the video behind me, then you would probably enjoy it, and I definitely would recommend going at least once. The question is whether you should go back again if it's been a while. I think if it hasn't been too long since you last went, there's not enough added value to go again at any price point, except for maybe getting the VIP experience, getting the free drink, which isn't free because it's obviously paid for in the experience. I wish that companies wouldn't say free when they meant included as added value. And you do get a pin of Mr. Omega from the gift shop afterwards. But learning about the artist, learning about the intentions, again, I think that is really important and really interesting to learn what the stories are and what the ideas that the artist had for their inclusion. Also, cameos are pointed out. However, there are still some problems with the exhibit. The biggest problem with the exhibit is that it isn't actually built for the amount of people that come through the exhibit. The biggest problem with that, of course, is when you are using the boop cards, when you are completing the added storyline, and in that added storyline, you need to get to a computer. In the 7th Monolith Village, there are 2 computer sites where there's only 1 computer. Now, this has been fixed upstairs in the Dram Corp offices, where there are multiple computers, and it used to be that you had to go to exactly the specific computer that was needed in the story. Now that was reprogrammed so that you could swipe in at any of the stations, of which there are still pretty much too few, but it's a lot easier to get the assignments done now because you can get the information from anywhere. I don't know how to fix this, but by design, one of the problems is that when you are finding the Resistance's information, or when you are trying to find Marin Dram's computer in her journal, there is always somebody, or 2 or 3 people, in a line in front of the single station. This, of course, is often frustrating. Even though I was specifically given the amount of time that I needed, it still is fairly annoying when you are waiting for someone who has decided to sit down and read through every single thing, which is of course interesting, which of course we all want to do, but is also available on the Wikipedias about Meowwolf, when all you need to do, especially if you already know where you're going, is just get that one next piece. This is sort of an issue with how people interact with the exhibit, but it's also an issue of design. That is something that needs to be fixed in some way. There needs to be some way that we can get people moving through the exhibit, moving through specifically the single computers, so that way those people that want to take that time have that time, and we don't have, for example, Marin and Rose's cottage filled up with people who are waiting in a line for each person to slowly read through every single thing. This happens to me every time I go there, and while I expect it, the way that people choose to interact when you are suggesting, hey, can I just get in, get out, I know what I'm doing, is maybe not ideal because, and this is for another video perhaps, we have forgotten how to move in public. So, what is the bottom line? What is my idea that I want you to take away from this? I want you to learn that there have been some upgrades and some updates to the Omega Mart Meowwolf. However, if you have been there recently, unless you are specifically going to see the art experience or perhaps to try their scavenger hunt, these are the more expensive add-ons that do give you extra sort of privileges, though not entering and exiting. I do think it is worth it. However, having been in October and having been just yesterday, I don't know if I will go back anytime soon because the exhibit still, while updating, doesn't really change that much. And more importantly, where's the story going? It's been the same story. And I understand that it has to have the same foundational story, but one of the promises of this idea is that the story will evolve and it will change and there will be new stuff that will help you move on to the next level. And that's what I would like to see out of Omega Mart. I would like to see the next storyline. Maybe that's a fundamental problem with the way that these Meowwolf exhibits are built, is that since new people come in, they need to know the basic storyline. But I think that having a next generation or a refresh of the story, or even a next chapter, which would change as much as could be changed while keeping some of the basics and some of the classics, would be incredibly helpful. In fact, I believe that is the idea that my favorite room went away in House of Eternal Return, because the story needs to change and there needs to be space, and there needs to be, to make the art important, it actually needs to be time-based. The best art is something that you experience, especially if it's experiential, once, or you experience a couple of times, and then the entire movement fades away, the entire idea fades away, and something new takes its place, because art needs to be made new. That's enough Ezra pounding on the idea. I hope you found this useful in some way, and I'll be back later on, possibly this week, with more on the House of Eternal Return.